Good evening. Good evening, party people. Good evening. How we doing? It is Friday night. It is our sip and chat with relationship flow. And we have our crew with us this evening. And so we have some people who were out and about. I see a deck in the place. Okay, we got our deck rolling out in the spot. Hey Daryl, what's going on? I gotta shout the deck out first. I'm sorry.
Hey, not
I'm
much.
about a deck.
we had we having a men's night, so all the men came together to hang out.
Okay.
Uh, just be together,
That's
build
what's
each
up.
other up. You know what I mean? Still sharpen steel.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Actually, Del Rico was saying that we needed to have a sip and chat where the men represented and was able to talk about the relationships from a male point of view.
Or what we call it a sip and chat.
I don't know. Y'all might call it something else.
Woo! Yeah, I think we have to change the name.
Yeah, we can live with that. We can live with that. We got LaJoya on the road, so you can't really see her because she's our road warrior. We probably can't even see her little wave that she does, but she rocking it out with
I
us.
see. I see the glasses.
You see the glasses, right?
Yeah.
That signature glasses.
Yes.
And Doc, how you rocking?
Hey everybody, I am doing well.
There she go. There go the little wave. So we got the well no, Daryl, what you sipping on? What you got?
Well, it's a whole bunch of stuff here. You got, I don't know, this is some red label.
Oh.
I don't know, some Jack Daniels.
Oh.
I don't know. I
Right?
don't know what this is. I don't know. It's a whiskey.
It's a
McCollins.
whiskey.
It's a whole bunch of stuff here, but I have a nice apple juice. I have a nice apple juice for myself.
Apple juice mixed with a little something.
No, I don't drink.
Oh, you okay?
I've
Okay.
never drank ever, so it's not like I'm recovering anything. I just have never tasted alcohol.
Okay, but you in this space, so you just
Yes,
the aroma.
yes, vicariously through other people's lips. Take a drink for me. Okay, I just took a sip.
All right, that sounds good. That sounds good. Doc, what you rocking with?
I am sipping on a nice hot toddy tonight that is a spiced grape wine and some Jim Beam hot toddy.
Oh.
What is a hot toddy?
Mmm.
It's a comforting drink that usually involves spices and you heat it up. Like I said, mine is grape wine and spices plus the Jim Beam.
What you need to be comforted for?
Because it's just one of those weeks.
Oh, okay.
I just needed a comfort drink.
Okay. A comfort drink.
Yeah,
Drinks,
yeah.
that's what we're going to now. Drinks to
Yeah,
comfort
that's what
ourselves.
we're going for.
Drinks of
Okay.
comfort.
And for
Okay.
me,
I mean,
yeah,
okay.
for me, it's usually tea or something, a hot drink. Hot drinks soothe me.
Hot drinks.
And
Okay.
sometimes it could be a shot that's a hot drink.
Okay.
Sometimes. Sometimes. I got my mixture of some rum situation going on. Rum situation. Is what
Okay,
I'm gonna
rum
call it.
situation. All right.
So we came up with the conversation of the stages of letting go. And that came from last week's conversation where we were talking about just like being unraveled. Like, if you don't deal with those childhood traumas, how they impact your relationships as an adult and how they influence, different things going on. So opening conversations or opening like these things that happen in your childhood are important because, they creep up. If you're trying to have a valuable relationship or valuable conversations with meaning, they creep up. And I think we hear the word trauma with more probably devastating situations, but trauma is not always necessarily for something like devastating. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, doctor, you want to kind of like say some of the I mean, it's not that it's non-devastating, but like some of the lesser traumatic, but still impactful ways that people can experience trauma?
Hmm. Well, first I want to say that what can be traumatic for one person
Hmm.
may not be traumatic for someone else.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of times it has to do with your own experience, your resilience, and your ability to manage stress and what type of coping skills you have. So one man's trauma might be a nuisance for someone else. So I just want to put that out there because not every type of situation causes trauma for everyone.
Hmm. Definitely. Definitely.
We can't hear you, Daryl. We can't hear you. I see your mouth moving.
Yeah, we see your mouth moving and your head moving. Not still can't hear you. So can't
Yeah, so
we were just defining like traumas and like how it's not necessarily a devastating trauma, but like that trauma could be like a variety of different things if you wanted to chime in on what that could look like when it comes to unresolved childhood stuff.
I think a trauma, so it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be bad, but like, for example, if you grew up with the illusion, like, oh, my parents, two-parent household, my parents were always there. They were there, but did they do anything with you? Did you have experiences? They just showed up physically, but what they did emotionally, did they support you? That could be traumatic as you get older because you think, oh, my parents were the greatest. They really weren't. That's an example.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
yes, we
Yeah,
can.
yes, we could
There we
Yeah, we
definitely
can
hear
go.
you.
hear you.
Okay.
But like
What I
LaJulia makes a good point if you want to look at like family situations, because I've done counseling with people who actually came to counseling as an adult because their parents were divorcing. Now, but I've also done counseling with people whose parents were divorced for as long as they've known, and it was no big deal.
Hmm.
So it depends on your situation. A parent, your parents not being together could be traumatic for some folks who's used to having their parents together. Where
and
for
it's,
someone else, it's like, that
and I think
doesn't mean anything for them.
and it's so funny. We have to kind of respect what other people feel as far as they think this is something that's serious to them. We have to say, you
Mhm.
know what, that's serious. We can't diminish it just because it's
Yes,
not big to us. Because a
yes.
lot of times people, it might not be something big to you, and someone it might be a real issue to them, and you can become dismissive of it. And we
Hmm.
can't
Right,
do that. We can't do
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
right.
Hmm.
And I think that that's where it becomes a challenge when you're in a significant relationship, and if you even experience something that you think is similar, or that your experience, or that your parents maybe divorced at the same age or similar age, or had the same type of experience, same thing, and you had a different reaction to it, that they should have had the same type of reaction that you did, and they just got over it, so they think. um that they, you can't dictate that for somebody else, because
Hmm.
it may not have been stabilized for them. Like they may have wanted the parents to be separated, and so because they became separated and divorced, it was a good thing for them, whereas it wasn't a good thing for the other person.
Hmm. And this reminds me of the whole conversation about spanking.
Mm.
You hear people all the time say, "My mom beat my behind. It was no big deal."
Yeah,
And then you also hear people say, you know, their mother smacked them or and it was so devastating to
Mm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
Mm-hmm.
as Darryl said, you can't diminish someone's experience.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Just because you getting beat with an extension cord didn't bother you doesn't mean that it didn't produce some negative effects for somebody else.
absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might be able to take that uppercut, they can't.
Right. Right. Or taking that uppercut, demonstrating, then that demonstrates love to you, doesn't mean that your partner wants to be hit in order
Yeah,
to say that that means that you love them, and that's
absolutely,
demonstrating love. So it's
absolutely.
like you got to learn what that love language is, or how it is that they want to be shown affection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. And the same thing comes up when if you're in a relationship and you become parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, definitely. I need to talk about what. It's funny because I think a lot of times we go into things thinking people are like us, think like us, until
Right.
a certain situation arises and you're like, "Whoa, what is going on?" You
Right.
know, that's not what I thought you would do in that situation. Um, and it does happen. I remember someone I was with actually like yelled at my daughter,
Mm.
and I'm like, I don't yell at her. Why would you raise your voice? I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go. But they were used to that. You know,
Okay.
my mom yelled at me, and I'm like, cool. My mom yelled at me, but no one's gonna yell at my daughter. This is not
Mm-hmm.
going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. You know, that's for me. It was different, and I realized, that's something you need to talk about. Parenting
Yes,
Right.
styles.
Right.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And
There,
it's like,
like you said, there are so many areas that we don't talk about until something happens.
Absolutely.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't know it's a problem until it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then it's like
Mm-hmm.
how you even go to discuss that problem or that concern is even a certain thing that you need to be pay attention to, because how you go to correct your partner can be damaging because you don't know exactly how it was that they were corrected before in their previous relationship or even in their parenting style, that they begin to carry that energy with them, that can be damaging, as far as how it is that they begin to look at you and respect you or not respect you.
Or even to the point that you may not be right. Just
Right.
because you did it that way and it may
Mm-hmm.
work for you, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean it's going to work for them, or
That's
they
right.
may not jump on board with whatever you're selling at that time,
That's
right?
right.
So you have to be able to say, look, how can we mitigate this? You
Right.
Right.
know, how can we mitigate it? Got to be a way that we can kind of fix it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully, if not, then maybe you might have to leave, but you need to you have to be open enough to say, what, I understand that this is the way I do it, or I would like it to be done. How
Mm-hmm.
do you want to do it, and why? And then what can we do to kind of, meet in the middle, if
Mm-hmm.
possible?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it would be nice to have as many of these conversations up front as possible, which brings me back to the idea of working on your trauma before you get into a relationship. You know?
So
Right.
again,
Because
I so I'm kind of, I think maybe work on your trauma to the point where you're open to a conversation about things going forth. Because I think
hmm
like things are going to come up naturally. Because we don't, and on the first couple of times, or even if somebody 3 months, you might not get to everything. Things will
right.
come out as they come. But I think if you have the patience and understanding where you can hear somebody and hear their side, and you guys can really sit down and talk about it and come to some understanding, that's the really thing for me. I think communication
Okay.
to the point where we can get an understanding and try to find some way to mitigate things. Find some way to find a middle ground, or even if, or maybe you may have to concede on some things, but be strong enough to say, what, this is not, this is not like a super big issue to me. It's not a non-negotiable. I can fall back on this one. So that's what I'd rather. I'd rather have a person who can grow with me,
hmm
and grow with me through my issues.
hmm Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. But there are some things that you should mention early on,
Mm-hmm.
but again, if you don't know about those things until they happen, it might be an indication that you haven't done a lot of introspection. Or, if you start a relationship with someone and you don't like to be touched, because you've been traumatized in your past, that's an early conversation.
Mm-hmm.
before the person touch you and you punch them in the face.
Whoa.
Right. That's you jump right into it.
Yeah. So I'm glad I know this now because you're violent.
Right.
I don't want to eat the cake. I don't want to eat the cake.
Eat the cake, Anime. Eat the cake.
Okay.
What I was thinking as you started the statement, but then I was like, okay, wait, maybe not, because now she's talking about eat the cake, Anime.
Yeah. She
Was
went a whole new
a
direction.
couple that I'm working with where they've had different living spaces just because of the way work has panned out for them, but that now that they're living together again, like they don't even greet each other with like a hug or a kiss. Like they don't have that connection, and like they see it as odd, but they don't know how to reconnect
Mm,
Okay.
and even identify that that's like a disconnection or like that's a problem.
mhm,
And it's like how do you rebuild that, or how do you not see that that's like a disconnection that needs to be worked on?
Well, I think it's great that they have a wherewithal to say, let's go get help, right? So
True.
they are actually doing better than most. Most people
yes.
just sit around maybe 13 years later and they ain't had a high in 13 years with
Right.
each other, and they don't
Right.
understand how to make it better.
Right.
So at least they're doing something because most people just do the same thing over and over again.
True. So
That's
true.
true.
So true. So true. And and that is what I was able to honor and help them acknowledge, that it's only
Yes.
been a few months, of you guys being back in the same dwelling together, and here we are. But they also, have like just a long history of just trying to reconnect and becoming aware of some things. But you know, it's like how do families even get to where they are? Because sometimes they raise the children and they be like, well, we're raising the children, we're providing the best thing for them, but not realizing that connection piece transfers down to other children.
Mm,
Well, most people don't know these things. You know what I mean? We're a society of people not knowing. And we just do because we were taught or we saw, and we continue to do the same thing. We walk in the same footsteps, make the same mistakes, and then it
mhm,
becomes generational. Everybody's doing it. It's passed
Hmm.
down. Your family's cursed with the "I'm not talking" because nobody talked to my family, right?
Right.
Um, so
mhm,
I think only change usually only comes because of something drastic happens that I see. That's what I feel. Study of one. That's my study. I
Right.
know change usually happens when there's something to make a change, something to make you change. Um, other than that, people are just going to be creatures of habit, and I think that's
mhm,
why society is going the way it's going. It's just going the opposite way because no one's really learning.
mhm.
Right.
It's so
Right.
true.
So like if you have your man cave or your woman cave, and when you come in from work and you need that time to yourself before you can really join with your family, how does your family know that they can connect with you? Like after you've had your decompression time, what's the ways that the children know that it's time that they can come in and connect and talk to you?
Wow, that's a interesting question because I couldn't tell you because I don't know anything about that. Like, if I came home, I would love to see my daughter. I don't need time away from her. You feel me? Like for me, so that's a very odd way of think. To me that would seem so odd. So if I had a
Hmm.
partner that had to come home and they need a couple minutes, an hour before they got with me or the kids, that would be so crazy to me. I'd be like I'm with you to be with you. I'm not be with
Right.
like the so that would be something that we would have to do some serious talking about.
Hmm.
And even more so for the kids. I was like, if you don't want to see me, but you need a break from the kids after you were gone all day, that would bug me out, right?
Mm,
That would really trip me because like my daughter all day every day. I just want to be around her. I don't. So that would be weird to me.
Right.
So I think
yeah,
Right.
I see it all the time though.
oof.
Exactly.
Right, Mary? All the
Yes.
time.
All
Yeah.
And
the time.
sometimes it's even recommended.
Ooh. Okay. I'm like, who recommended that? We ain't going there no more. Last time you going there.
I mean, it is recommended in different ways. Like as far as how long is your commute? So can your commute have like where
How
you
stressful
can
your job
like as far
is.
as like loud music, calm music, relaxing music before you get into the house? When you park the car, do you take a couple minutes before you go into the house? You know, like it's so many different stages, if you
Mhm.
will,
Hey, listen,
before
you
you go and
And
greet and your family because
yes,
depending on
yes.
the type of work, you might need that decompression moment that you don't take that negative energy into your family because they
hey,
didn't ask for that.
And
that drive
it
that
can
drive
also
home was
depend
your
on
break.
the
But the
You had
drive
it.
home,
it
you
can
might have
also
road rage
depend on
cursing
the
people
kind of
out.
seat.
Oh, well, you got other issues then, because you had 20
It can, oh
minutes.
my God.
You had 20 minutes to get home, and you need another hour. Like, oh no, you don't. You had your time.
It can also depend on the kind of family. If you got Daryl home waiting for you,
I'm waiting with love. Hey, girl, I missed you. Come here, girl. Give me a hug. What you mean you need an hour? You need an hour to do what? Okay, well, where are we going for an hour to talk? Like, I missed you, girl.
Like I miss you too, but I need to take a shower.
Hey,
I
listen.
need
Me and man, been waiting for you to get home.
everybody is not like that. You like you're like Daryl.
Yeah, exactly. And that would be an issue for me. That would be something we really have to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
really have to talk about.
and
So
I've
I
seen it come about sometimes where this subject comes up where someone is just starting to process through some type of trauma,
mhm.
and they are hyper vigilant, they're hypersensitive, and they actually need those spaces before they get, before the kids are jumping on them, or
Got you.
before their partner is asking them questions about what's for dinner and what we gonna do tonight.
Got you. You know, I got a new question. Do you need time when you come home to be away from me and the kids? Oh, you do? This ain't gonna work. Date one. Thank you. Listen, I'd have got another question to add to the repertoire. Thank you.
So somebody put get a hotel for 3 hours apiece. You know, that opens up a whole nother question that we had a couple weeks ago. Like if you need a hotel for 3 hours, if I'm insecure, what you doing for them 3 hours?
3 hours. See, the math don't make sense. We get off 8, 3 hours. Get off 5, 3 hours, 8 o'clock. Go to bed at 10 to get up the next day. I see you for an hour and a half. Like, no, thank you. Who said that? Who made that comment? 3 hours.
The person didn't give StreamYard the permission to say their name, so I'm
Oh,
not sure.
well, tell them they're gonna be single for a long time, or divorced soon.
Or divorce soon.
Yeah,
Right.
3 hours. Three
Three
hours.
whole hours is a
So
lot.
you gonna spend money to go to a hotel for 3 hours? What kind of what
Taking
kind of?
money away from the house.
Oh, she messing all up. Tell her divorce.
Right. Right. So I mean, like, and you have to create other things. So, like, if that means coming in the house and taking a bath, doing a shower, something like that, and that's the decompression time. That's different.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
That's different because
Mhm.
you can greet your partner with a hug or a kiss, or depending on your work. You say, "Oh, that's Camp. Camp couldn't stay online, but she's commenting through the thing."
Okay.
So Camp said a hotel for 3 hours.
Hey, Cam, divorce. And if you get a hotel room, I'm coming with you. I'm letting you
Right.
know. What hotel you at? I'm on the way. My wife ain't gonna be in a hotel for no 3 hours by herself.
Every single day, right? Like
Yeah.
that's not working.
Nah. Come on, man. Come on, man. We're going to the hotel.
We going to the hotel, right?
She might as well come home.
Right.
Exactly.
Might as well
Exactly.
come home.
Come on home, girl. Come on home.
And she had also earlier said like to have that conversation, but we know that having that conversation about that personal space can be challenging because then that means I gotta be vulnerable about what it is. And sometimes that career conflict around what it is that my career is, sometimes people just don't understand, like what those different nuances are about work. And sometimes that letting go of what has happened at work, like if you feel that you're being violated in the workspace, then
Mm-hmm.
that is a set of trauma that,
Mm-hmm.
may not necessarily be from childhood, but it could be triggers from childhood. And like, so you might be like feel like you're being retaliated against at work, or feel like you're doing all the extra work because people not pulling up their weight. And then you got to come home and people want you to cook dinner or do the laundry and do all this other extra work again, that you never get a chance to have a reprieve. So it's like, you want me to explain my day? No, I really don't want to explain my day. I just really want to be whatever my role is here, but I need like just a moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I feel
Yeah,
like I'm at the party with Daryl.
I know, right?
Listen,
Oh God, he having a
He
COVID
having a
party too.
real party,
No
right?
mask,
Bring a
people
mask
hugging.
it's COVID,
Woo!
Dr. Ferguson.
Mm.
See, the real got the COVID because he's with somebody that ain't 6 feet. Ain't breathing.
Y'all ain't got no mask on.
And they drinking.
And drinking.
They said the alcohol kills it.
Okay. But you ain't drinking no more alcohol.
Well, if they don't got it, I ain't gonna get it.
Okay.
Okay.
If I get sick, I'm telling y'all it's gonna be a problem. I let them know.
They gonna say you knew what you was getting into.
See,
Y'all ain't take nobody's temperature or
we
nothing.
didn't have a conversation before we did it. That's the problem. We have to learn to talk.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes,
Y'all
we
need
have
to
to
have
learn
a
to talk.
family
Yes.
meeting since they
And
didn't follow your rules.
ask people for test results.
Hey, who put this together? Ain't nobody got no thermometer. Ain't nobody got no thermometer. I'm sorry. This is so
And Cam said, "Where the gloves at?" Y'all hugging each other. Where the gloves at?
Hey, we gotta show black love. All these black men here, we're showing love. We're
Yeah,
gonna catch we gonna catch COVID and solidarity together.
Okay.
All right. No judgment. No judgment.
No, no
Sound like a
judgment.
lot of judgment. Sound like a lot of judgment.
No, no, no. It's a little traumatic. It's a little traumatic. We love you, and we want
Thank
to
you.
see you every Friday.
Yes. I didn't realize there was no mask. So you said something.
See? See, now you looking around.
Now see, where y'all mask at? What's
Mm-mm.
wrong with y'all? It's like COVID out here. Okay, I'm sorry.
You ain't even pay attention. You thought you was in your basement in the workout room.
I'm out here chilling like it was 2019 when everything was cool.
Right.
I
Right.
forgot. I just wanted to get out so bad. I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot. But
See?
back to the I think people have to not be afraid to communicate, and that's
Yes.
the
Right.
problem we have. I think we have a problem with conflict, a problem with maybe saying something that may hurt someone's feelings. What I'm learning is that we have to have these conversations, no matter how tough they are, because I think they're beneficial in the long run. So I
Right.
think
Yeah.
we really need to, people really start needing learning how to have those conversations earlier than
Yes.
until the car breaks down. That's too late,
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Because if we at the mechanic and talking about we need to go see Dr. Carissa and Mary May, like we at the emergency room.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, yeah.
And when we get to the emergency room and surgery is starting, then the transparency is painful, because like then you learning stuff that you didn't even think about was going to be something that you needed to share.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, okay, am I really ready to invest and learn all of this about this person? Because now I've invested more time and I'm really digging this person. So now I need to consider parenting and communication and how they spend money and how
Mm-hmm.
they socialize and how they travel, like all different types of things. And now we got to consider if we're going to wear a mask at the cookout, and if we're going to drink apple juice or E&J, like what we going to do?
Yes. Yes. That's one thing I talk about too. It's a lot easier to have those conversations before you get all invested. People say, well, I could tell my man anything, or I could tell my woman anything. The reality is, it's a lot scarier to tell someone something that you think might chase them away when you're in love.
Or in like a lot.
Yeah, when you're in love versus when you're on the second or third date.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's tough. And then when do you have those conversations? Because the second or third date might be too soon. I'm like, I just met you. I'm not. You talking about rights right now for the wedding, and I just met you. So, like, thank you. It's been a good night. I'm gonna go home. Hey,
Because
hey,
it's like
and don't
boundaries.
call me again. And don't call me again.
Well, yes, you have to be careful too. You don't want to have some conversations too soon.
Yes,
You
yeah.
want to be in a situation where you feel safe
Yeah.
to be vulnerable. So yeah, you have to have some judgment and insight
Mm-hmm.
on when to have these conversations with someone.
Gotcha. Yeah. True.
But that's the
Mhm.
tricky part because the last time you felt like you was okay to do that, it didn't work out well. So
Yes.
then the next time you're gonna wait a little bit longer, and then now you in too deep, and you're like, okay, but wait a minute, I want this one to work out. So I'm gonna withhold, or I'm gonna change myself, and then you try to change yourself in the absence of doing something, and then you get into a heated argument, and it's just too far.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's tough. And
Right,
there's no right or wrong answer
Right.
until you do
right,
it and find out it didn't work.
right,
Oh, that was too soon, or that was too late.
right, right. And you always sending your representative in. Like, when you go to the mall and get the outfit, it's always your representative. I
Mhm.
mean, we can go. I'm about to always go with Doc shoes. Them shoes be the representative.
No, the shoes is me.
Shoes is you for sure.
Yes.
But if somebody ain't really ready to rock them shoes, like for me, they will be the representative. I'm not rocking them shoes every day. But if I'm getting dressed up to go somewhere, they will be the representative. And you would think that I'm gonna rock them every day and know that ain't me. I'm a sneaker
Mhm.
chick or a flat girl chick, but I might wear them on my birthday, and you might be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no." Mm-mm. On the day after the birthday, we going back to the flats.
Mhm.
You want the
Yes.
stilettos? I hang out with girls that rock stilettos, so I ain't that girl.
That's part of the identity.
The lie you're telling.
No, it's her life. It ain't mine. And I got like girlfriends. That's their life. And here
Yeah.
I come with a nice little flat.
You got the kitten heels.
I don't even do the kid heels. It's just straight.
Oh no.
I'm 5'4". No illusions.
Oh, that's it. That's
That's it. Keeping it tutorial.
It's funny. People always ask me, "Do you wear those shoes like that all the time?"
yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
It's been strange being home and not being in heels all day, every day.
Gotcha.
There's
Definitely
no
different.
safe letting go.
Yeah.
Well, one girlfriend, when we went to New Orleans, and she had on like the first day hitting Bourbon Street, and she's like, "You have on like heels." And she was like, "We just got off the airplane and we hit Bourbon Street. Like I didn't get to my room and unpack my bag yet." She's like, "Don't worry, they coming." And for the rest of the trip, they was there. But it is
Mhm.
what it is. And
Mhm.
I had the flat.
Yeah.
But
So I
anyway,
mean, it's okay to start with your representative as long as your representative isn't so far from who you are.
true.
You
Your
know,
representative should represent you.
yeah,
Yeah, they shouldn't be representing somebody you don't know.
Authentic.
And that's the problem. A lot of times representatives represents somebody they don't even know.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
And
exactly.
that's what I was using that example. So if I was to wear
Mhm,
stilettos, that's not me. That's not representing who I am.
Gotcha.
mhm.
And we would know by the walk.
You would.
That's her first time. It's her
Yes.
first time. It's first time. Hey, look, y'all, look up. First time
No.
right there.
She's staying in one spot. You see she's staying in one spot, she's not moving too much.
Hey, she ain't move all night. First time.
Oh
Def-
man.
Definitely. So
Mhm.
like how could we help the people who were listening or catching us on the replay though? Like really jump into these conversations.
Well, again, I think we help them by letting them know that you have to communicate with each other, right? And you may need to get help. You may need to just sit down and have a conversation with your partner. You know,
Mm-hmm.
outside of the argument, you can't only talk when you guys are arguing. Sometimes you have to say, hey, listen, hey, let's talk about this. Why you guys are calm.
Mm-hmm.
While that might not be a problem that you're dealing with right at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I think that you start seeing, and that's the things I'm picking up from these conversations. Like, okay, I can talk to this person anytime about this, or I need to be able to voice whatever I have to voice, but do it in a way that they can hear it or at least understand
Yes.
it, right?
Yes.
So, and I think
Yes.
that's why this is important because I think people know they have problems, but don't really know how to get to a point to fix them, where to go or what to do, and they feel like it's only them. Sometimes you feel like it's
Yes.
only you, and this
Yes.
this opens it up to show, people are struggling. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter who you are. You may struggle with something.
Mhm. Very true. Very true. Yeah, I think the one thing that people should take away from this kind of conversation is if there is some trauma in your history or things that you see that keep coming up for you because of things from your past, is it's necessary to unpack it.
Mm-hmm.
When you have that baggage, you have to unpack it. And that can look like having a conversation with your partner. It can look like doing some personal work with a therapist. You know, it can mean if you don't want to talk to somebody, doing the work on your own, but getting some guided advice. You could Google it. I mean, Google, you know, but it's a difficult process and it's something that's hard to do alone. So I'm gonna say that it's hard to do alone.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can only do to a certain point with Google and or by yourself. Like that, if you even do a self-empowerment book, like even in reading that, like that only takes you to a certain point before
Mm-hmm.
you need to engage. And culturally we look at therapy as taboo. But
Yes.
really that is your safest space that you can have a person that unapologetically is not judging you under no circumstance, and
Mm-hmm.
that you can say whatever you want to say about whoever
Mm-hmm.
you want to say.
Yep.
And it's almost like you going shopping with a gratification that you're gonna be able to say whatever do, and have that safe space basically.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It is. It's so much better to try to unpack trauma with a guide.
A guide, Guide.
Yes.
It
Not
sounds
a
like you said
GUI.
guy, right?
Not a guide. A guide.
I just wanted to be clear because it sounds like you said guy,
A guide.
like we're going on a date to find out.
No. Yes. Yeah. Yes. It is.
Yeah,
It
so it's like
is.
you're taking a tour guide,
Mhm.
almost like it's a new season. So as you have new seasons in your life, if you making new career goals or career moves, new relationship changes, you're changing, especially, I mean, women and men, we change every year, but definitely every 2 to 3 years. Um, you gotta, have a guide, a tour guide to go with you,
Mhm.
and to really bounce some ideas off of a person who is sound and has investment in you being
Yes.
clear in your chaos. And so, and
Yes.
and that your chaos is okay, because the chaos means that you have considered multiple streams and multiple ideas, and that you just need some guidance in organizing what's going to be the priority, what's going to be the next, and like kind of putting it in order.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And what are some of the things that you need to help you heal? Because we don't always know, because we're in it. When you're in it, it's kind of hard to see all the things you might need to help you heal.
Mm-hmm. That forest can be thick.
Yes. Yes, for sure. So it's recommended.
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 Is it recommended?
It's
Strong
recommended. Strongly recommended
to not
that
take
you
the
have.
journey and the tour alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
the empowerment books are great. Trying to do it solo is a great start.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to value yourself at a high level, because sometimes your EAP program is not the best journey to utilize for that.
Mm.
EAP
Um,
program.
your EAP program, your jobs, employment assistance, therapeutic program.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know the acronym.
I apologize.
Mm.
Thank you.
So,
That's for all
so
the people that didn't know.
all those people. You know what?
Okay.
We gotta educate the people. Yes,
Yes, we have to.
we
We're
got
talking about communication. We have to
yes,
communicate so we know what we're talking about,
we gotta know what we talking
Mhm.
about.
You're
and we
right.
have to
You're
So,
be.
right.
And you know what? We have to check our egos and be able to ask a question and not feel like
Yes.
this is dumb. I'm gonna feel dumb.
absolutely.
Yes.
And no, I feel like I'm gonna ask a question if I don't know. So we'll all be on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Daryl,
Yes.
for that, because we always have to
Yes.
do that.
That's
Modeling
right.
behavior. That's
Yes.
what I do. Just
That's
modeling
right.
Modeling.
behavior.
You do that well. You do that well.
Oh, thank you.
The other thing I want to say about working with trauma is it's a healing process, because some people say they just want to get over it, or people will tell
Like
you
a
to
light
just get
switch.
over it. Yes,
hmm
it's healing. You really come through it with, who am I now that this has happened to me?
hmm
It's really like an integration.
hmm
You don't just forget about it, and
Right.
it's not just over. When over is probably not a good word. It doesn't disappear.
Even when you work through it, you still may be reminded,
Yes.
but you have learned how to cope and work through it a
Yes.
little bit
Yes.
better, because now you have a toolkit that,
Yes.
working with the professional, you have learned some skills to kind of manage it better, that
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't put you at the red light and you sitting in traffic and everybody else is proceeding through caution and the green light and you still sitting at the red light,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like
Yes.
forever. Like the
Yes.
light keep changing for everybody else but you.
Yes. Because I think that some people get the wrong idea that, I'm going to talk to somebody about it and it's going to be over and I'm never going to think about it again.
After one session,
Right.
or after
I wasn't going to say that, but
after, after one session, or after 3 sessions, I only got to pay for 3 sessions, and then I'm gonna be healed. I go to church 3 times, I'll be healed.
That's
So,
what they
because
think.
I don't want people to be
That is
discouraged,
what they think.
Yeah, because people come in and they are discouraged can get discouraged after a couple sessions.
Yes. Well, this is the microwave society. Everything has to be done now.
Yes.
Microwave,
It has to be done
yes.
now.
Good. Yeah, I
30
like
seconds.
that.
I
30
Yes.
always
seconds.
say the microwave.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
that's what the people want it now, now, now. And it takes time. I usually ask people, like when I'm training, and I'm like, well, how long did it take you to put the weight on? Right? So it's not going to be quick.
Right.
Right.
You put it on over
Right.
20 years. What do you want me to do?
Yes.
I'm
I
not a
be like, it's that macaroni and cheese that you bake all day. Like, come on.
not a magician.
Yes.
You know.
And you know
So
what? It's funny because I tell people the same thing in therapy because you've developed these habits and behaviors
Mhm.
over your lifetime. So
absolutely
you're not going to stop doing them in a week.
no.
Right.
And it's going to take work continually to stop going back to your old habits that you love. Because
Right.
when we get in crisis situations, sometimes we'll revert back to what we're used to,
Yes.
what's easy.
Right.
And that's why I tell people too, like they think they may be cured, they think they may be fixed, but sometimes you don't know until you get in that situation to see how you handle it. Do you go back
Right.
to the old ways of doing things, or do you try
Yes.
some new strategies?
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Which is
Which
why
is
I like what Mary said about having a toolkit so that you're not reverting back to the old stuff. You can go through your toolkit and say, okay, in this situation, I could do X, Y, Z.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that takes a thought.
Yes.
It takes a time to process. That means you're
Yes.
responding and not reacting. Because
Yes.
your reaction is to go, but let me think about it and respond. Or let me go to the toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to do. If people would,
Yep.
try to take that second to think, they would, not do some of the things they would do that they
So
should
you
do.
so
You're
you
right.
end
And
up
I,
replacing your trigger. Like so
yes.
whatever
Yeah.
your trigger is,
Yes.
you end up replacing it with, whatever that new behavior is. Like every time this particular trigger comes, I could take a deep breath, and then do some deep breathing activities or
Take your finger off the trigger. When you
Yes.
think about it, take
Yes.
your finger off the trigger
right, right.
before you
Yes.
shoot yourself in the foot.
Yes.
You know.
I
Or
tell people all the
don't put your foot on the
time.
accelerator and start
Yes.
chasing the car down the street to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
curse them out because that's not
I,
going to change that they cut you off.
No.
I tell people all the time that you can take a second, you can take a minute.
Yes.
You don't always have to answer somebody immediately. You don't always have to move immediately. You can take your time. And that gives you the opportunity to respond and not react.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. And I think that's something that need to be taught too at a young age. In all situations. Before you do something, think about it. Because I think if
Mm-hmm.
we think about things, we would make less mistakes and things of that nature. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times we're just doing without, and we don't think about it until after we got caught or something happened. Like, oh my God, what do we do? Well, if you thought
Mm-hmm.
about it before, you might have not did it.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Like I
Right.
was about to message you, Daryl. If you would have thought about who planned the party.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out who planned this party too.
Then he could have been like, Mike, yeah, he not careful. I'm
Right.
not
Yeah,
going.
yeah. People walking in. I don't know all these people.
Right. All these people.
Who got a COVID test? Show your hands.
Oh shoot.
Nobody.
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 I'm in trouble. If I get a fever, I'm beating all y'all up tomorrow. I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute.
Yes, but I think that's also part of the microwave society that we feel like we gotta move quickly on everything.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We put the same on ourselves in making decisions instead of really thinking about them. We will rush to make a decision without
And
really thinking about it fully.
and in those microwave interventions too, like we thinking of how we look towards other people. Like instead of like really thinking about how we're healing on the inside, we're thinking about what people are thinking about our reaction and response versus
Mhm.
are we truly healed and how we feel about it. We're trying to please what the perception is about how we're dealing with certain stuff.
Hmm.
It's like
That's
people
right.
almost have multiple personalities. GID with your Facebook is a whole different personality. That's a whole different you.
That's a
That ain't you.
whole
Like I
that's
know you. I see your Facebook. There are two different people.
right. Right.
So people are really, splitting themselves into different people for different platforms or different things,
Mhm.
and like I said, people are just not. Their reality is just so skewed right now. They don't know
Mm-hmm.
who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Be like they was at the party having an offering plate talking about they about to be homeless,
Mhm.
but they got this they got something else on their Facebook status talking about they buying this mansion. How you buying a mansion and no, that ain't what you said.
Like that's mental health. Like there's something wrong with when you are that far away from the truth.
Right.
To try
Right.
to make someone else feel about you a certain way
Right.
that's not you. That's a lot
Right.
of work. That's a lot of work.
It
That's
is a
a
lot of
lot
work.
of work.
It's a
And
lot
I'm
of work.
and you can't be right. Like that's tough, you know.
Like, how
Yeah.
many GoFundMe's are you about to do?
You didn't go fund me over here, and you buying a new car over here. I don't get it.
Right.
You
Like,
know,
we
yeah.
bought your car.
I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that $50 to get back and go fund me.
Right.
I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need all that back.
I'm gonna need all that back.
I'm gonna need all that back.
But like the stages of letting go, when people have learned how to like manifest a benefit from not letting go, like, and learn how to manipulate different situations, then it's like, okay, now, they've learned a secondary gain from playing a victim. And so now, because they could play the victim of holding on to this unhealthy energy, then it's like, okay, well, why let go of it? Because I get a lot of attention, I get a lot of sympathy, I get people giving me stuff that I need, because of me playing the victim role in this whole trauma situation. So like, why do I need to let it go? Like, I live well being the victim in all of this, like holding on to this trauma.
It's so sad that people do get rewarded for this bad behavior,
Mm-hmm.
and then they just keep using it and keep running with it, and it's sad that that happens. When the victim is being the victim is actually something that's good to them. Because they get
They get
attention and
celebrated.
yeah. Oh, what happened again? Girl, happened to you again? Why does it keep happening to you? And they get the attention, and people. It's so, and they love it, and it's. But I think it's even strange for us to continue to support that type of behavior. Like if your friend, it's the third time the same thing happened. At a certain point, you got to tell them like, look, it's you. We instead of us being trying to coddle these people, like, look, it's something wrong if it keeps happening to only you. Ain't no
Right.
having nobody else but you. So we're all we're
The
codependent.
enablers.
Yeah, we're allowing this to happen. We're okay with it. So we're just as bad as that person, the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And we make it possible for the victim to be the victim.
Mm-hmm. Well, we become the enablers, which is crazy. Then them bags just continue to be full.
But I think it goes to, again, because we're afraid to really hurt someone's feelings. We're afraid to tell them the truth, but we don't want to. It's not really our business. But again, we're really, and we're learning too to not tell the truth. We're learning not to talk. It's almost avoidance. We're allowing her to be the victim so we can avoid. Again, this is crazy, and we need to be able to start telling people, hey, look, maybe to helping them out or giving them our best advice instead of not.
Mm-hmm. 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 And then it's like, but then the burden of the conversation is had. It's just not with them. We have it with other people about them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like so you still you having a conversation, but you're not having it towards the right person, which is still allowing that person to not be held accountable. So it's like, who needs to let go? Like, if they're still benefiting from not letting it go and you're still really allowing them to get away with it, like, the maturity, where does the maturity come in at? Because they're still living their best life and their childhood trauma, their adult trauma, and doing their pattern of behavior over and over again. And if it's gaslighting or whatever it is, like, they living.
Yeah, but
And
I think
sometimes you have to do what's right, even if it risks a friendship.
True.
You know.
True.
but I think
They like you got business going on, but this a party.
it wasn't even that funny. They laughing like it was like Dave Chappelle here. It wasn't that funny. But I what I was about to say is I think that you say like you'll go and you'll talk about it with someone else. So obviously you're talking about your friend behind their back, kicking their back all in.
All in.
Everybody's dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
That whole situation, everybody is feeding off dysfunction, and that's the problem. We're all just dysfunctional, feeding dysfunction, and there's nowhere that people understand what they're doing is wrong because it's been going on so long. Again, we think it's okay, but
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think like programs like this is very important because somebody might see like, whoa, I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Either I talk about her like that, or I allow her to do that, or I allow him to do that, or whatever case may be, you may see something that you may like. Listen, hey, y'all, watch this. You need to change. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. You need to
Right.
change.
Right. 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 Like
Stop letting
I need
her.
you to tune in to 54 minutes and 39 seconds when they talk about
We talk
this,
about you.
when we
That's what we
talk
talk about. We
about
talk about
you,
you.
right? You might need to hear what they said before then, but you
Yes.
need to hear that part specifically when I've been your enabler and I'm taking that accountability. But listen, we need to stop today.
Because a lot of anything that really is really trying to help people usually don't get promoted, right? Because nobody
It
wants to
doesn't.
really, they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to get better, right? People just,
That's
Right.
right.
they're cool and they're
They
dysfunctional.
want to be the
Yep.
victim.
Yeah,
Yep.
dysfunction, like you said, dysfunction is cool. It works.
Yep.
So
Yep.
anytime you try to help, people don't want to hear that. They'll
Mm-hmm.
tune out to anything that's saying anything that will challenge them to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem with something like this. Where it's great information, but people are like, oh, I don't want to hear that. Because you feel bad. They feel bad. Like, you're talking about me. I don't want to hear that.
Right.
It's crazy. People
They
do
don't
not want
know
to grow.
me. You don't
They
know
don't,
me.
right. You don't
Yeah,
know me. I
but
have
we only.
it's funny because I do have a client that in the session she'd be like, Mary, you don't know me. And that really is okay. I'm really getting close to her topic or like
Yes.
close to her situation.
Yes.
But she like,
Yes.
you don't know me. I'd be like, okay, so let's keep going deeper.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
obviously I do know you because everything I
Right.
said was about you.
Right. I'm in your living room. Like,
Yeah,
come on, let's go deeper.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's actually our joke. But yeah.
And like I said, it's tough to be vulnerable. You don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want
Mm-hmm.
you don't want somebody to pull your cards. You don't
That's
want that.
right.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be exposed.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough being exposed.
Exactly.
But we
Yeah,
need to
because
learn.
then you might be called upon to take responsibility.
How
Absolutely.
about that?
Mm-hmm.
And
How
that would
about
be the
that?
best thing. That would be the best thing for you, because that's
Yeah,
how you
it
grow.
is.
Right.
That's
To
how
be
you grow.
accountable. Right.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. That's the beginning of growth.
And you know what? Society has allowed us to not be accountable and to not, really take that responsibility of ourselves because then we're working towards being progressive. But then it takes us where we're not going through the drive through and eating like nasty food or food that's not good for us. Or we're not like, we're just not making poor decisions. And as long as we're not making poor decisions, there's a lot of people who would miss out on the money that we
Of
spend.
course.
Right.
Yes.
So it's like,
Yes.
why would we want to
Yes.
educate them?
Absolutely,
Why
Yeah.
absolutely.
would we want to do that?
There's very little profit in people behaving
Correct.
well.
Ignorant self.
Ignorance
Ignorant
sells.
selves. Okay, and that's what they play
Yes.
on. They play on you
Yes.
not knowing.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
Right.
that's just, again, that's the way the society is right now. It just
Mm-hmm.
promotes anything negative.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because that's the way to keep people trapped, keep them doing things wrong, and you got them.
And keep them
Mm-hmm.
distracted while they doing some
Absolutely.
old shenanigan on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Keep them
Mm-hmm.
distracted.
It's true.
It's dying.
It's true.
They dying over there. He put us on mute. We can't hear what they dying on.
But one of the things I wanted to bring up is, managing ourselves, especially when we have children,
Mm,
because children do what they see.
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So all those traumas that come out for you, you think your kids, well, my kids was in the room. They didn't hear that. Or
Yeah,
Right.
they don't know what's going on. Yes, they do.
they do. They do. They
Yes,
absorb
they do.
everything,
Mhm.
everything,
Everything.
and can repeat back to you everything you said, and you didn't even know they were anywhere around.
Listen,
Yes.
I was laughing at your daughter Daryl on Saturday from things she said on Friday night
Yeah,
when we were talking about her going to Dunkin' Donuts at 10 o'clock at night. And she said, we're not working on Saturday or something about we ain't got to get
yeah.
up early on Saturday. I was like, okay, you're right.
Listen, well, you know who runs my house.
Listen,
I'm just an employee there. She the boss.
Clear, because she was just like, it's time for y'all to go because I need to go to Dunkin' Donuts.
She was ready to go.
She was ready to go.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was 10 o'clock, but I know it was close.
Yeah, that's what we do. She likes going to the store late at night, so every now and then we'll go. Because I
She
mean,
was ready.
she's in control.
Okay.
She's in control.
Okay.
I'm working to be stronger.
It ain't gonna work.
I'm trying.
It's not gonna work.
Yeah,
That's daddy daughter love.
Yeah, we have a lot. She sits me down and has a lot of conversations about things she wants and how she wants it to go. So we have a lot of conversations.
Good for her.
Yeah, at least she's talking. She'll sit me down,
Yes.
Dad.
That's
Look,
awesome.
That
yeah,
says a lot.
yeah.
That does.
Well,
Especially at her young age.
Yes.
So one thing I will say, and again, it's by knowing things and learning. I try to put her in positions to win, and I have her in everything I can to make her more aware of things. Like I was telling somebody that she was in a sex ed class, so she just knows different things. And I wasn't sure. She was 6 when I put her in. Wasn't sure if I should have. But she's using strategies from the class, and I thought that was cool. So I know it worked, and I know she benefited from it,
Okay.
So I just put her in anything I think will help her to grow and understand. And I don't want to think I think she knows something, because the biggest thing we think they know.
Right.
She know better. No, she doesn't. And I don't try to put her in a position to win. And
Right.
knowledge is power. So
That's good.
That is so true. And can't put in their daddy girl boss in the comment. I had put up a post yesterday about assumptions that adults make about teenagers, and I got like all of these different comments about that people take that teenagers don't take life seriously, that teenagers are careless, that they don't know what's going on, that they're entitled, that they think that they know everything, and that they don't that they don't think that they sense the tension of what is actually going on, but they do, and they're learning like from the tension of what's actually going on. And what they're learning is not always to not do what they see, but how to replicate that stuff in other like relationships. And it's like a whole bunch of other things too that was listed, but like that's the stages of letting go. Like if we as adults are not letting go, and we have children who are watching us, they're watching and going to replicate those same behaviors in their interactions, be it good, bad, or indifferent.
That's right. That's right. I don't think people remember that. I mean, or maybe they don't know that. But any relationship dynamic that you show your kids, it is possible that they will have the same dynamic in their relationships. It's just what it is.
And something that's really simple too, that the people don't pay attention to. If you ignore, say, if Doc is calling me and I ignore Doc's phone call, and I make a comment after I ignore Doc's phone call, whatever that comment is, they now know, okay, well, when Doc calls, this happens. Or if it's an 800, hi.
it's a high.
Why is he looking like that?
Because you just popped in.
I hear the conversation. I can be politically correct. What's the conversation? You are in the show. No, that's not the conversation.
That's not the conversation.
No, that's not the conversation.
The conversation, they're talking about people who had one too many.
Well, that's not me. I count my liquor. I had like 10. What's wrong with you? You're right. When they lose count, they had one too many.
Okay, you got the count. Okay,
I said 10, right?
10, yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to go to 11.
Go to 11.
You're not sure.
It's 2 right here.
It's 2 right there.
Right, bam.
Okay.
That's not even a real size cup.
She said that's not even a man-sized cup.
That's a shot. That's why it's not a man.
That's a baby shot.
Which one is it? I knew it was you.
Look, see, you got it. Look.
That's because she's drinking in an orange glass. When people drinking colored cups.
Yeah. All right, get out of here. Get out of here. All right. Sorry, it's drunk photo bombs. They just
Look,
jumping
even
in.
Camp said hi. What was you saying, Doc?
No, you were
I was
saying
saying,
you were saying
I
you
don't
were talking
remember.
about the example that now if your kid sees that interaction, now they know
They,
when
even
God
if it's
calls, this is what happens.
this is what happens. Even if they see it's an 800 number and you ignore that 800 number, you're teaching them what it is that they are to be responsible to, or what it is that they respond and do when those different things happen. And
Mm-hmm.
so then now when they get responsible enough to have those phone calls come through, what it is that they should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are they going to be responsible and answer the phone call? Because then they pay attention. Well, are you going to call Doc back? And when you call Doc back, are you going to tell Doc what you said when you ignored that phone call? Or are you going to sugarcoat and say something different?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's so amazing, and we don't realize how much kids are a sponge to whatever they see, right? As an
Because we
adult.
think they playing a video game and they ain't paying
Yes,
attention.
and we kind of forget that we were them kids at one time that was ear hustling while we were doing something else, and or soaking everything up, and
Mm-hmm.
it's very interesting. And kids soak up everything; they don't miss a beat.
That's right.
They don't miss
That's
a
right.
beat. It's
That's
so
right.
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yep.
They'll
So
pick up
crazy.
things that you don't realize they picked up, and then like I said, that they carry that with them.
That's
Mm-hmm.
true. And
That's
that's why if you're operating from a place of trauma, you're influencing your children to operate that same kind of way.
absolutely,
Right.
and they may not have it, and again, they may not experience the trauma you
Right.
experienced, but now
Right.
now basically they have vicariously through you.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Not
Exactly.
paying bills, is
Yep.
what's being said. I had another girlfriend that posted that she had called, I guess, the 311 number here in Philadelphia about trash being picked up in one of the neighborhoods, say like a couple days before, say like on a Monday, and then come Thursday, she had a piece of gum and she had balled up the piece of paper of the gum wrapper and had rolled her window down a little bit, and she thought that her daughter was looking at the iPad in the back seat. And as she rolled the window down, her daughter was checking her on, "Mom, you can't throw that outside because that will be littering like when you called 311 on Monday." And she laughed and posted this whole, conversation on social media because she was like, "You just never know how your children are really watching your every move." And it's true. And it was a lesson to, chronicles around
Yeah.
how your children are really listening and learning from your every single move, whether you're paying
Yes.
attention to it or not.
Yes. And if
Yep. Yep.
you're hyper vigilant because of trauma, and everything that comes into your environment, you're yelling and screaming and you can't control yourself, yeah, you might not think your children will react the same way, but watch them with their friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Exactly.
Or play with their toys,
Or playing with
Yes.
their
and
toys.
you'll see it. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
gonna
Yes.
mimic that whole situation over
Yes.
again.
And that's why
Yes.
sometimes I get confused at parents and they get mad at their kids for doing certain things. And like,
Mm-hmm.
that's you, right? She's doing you. Smack yourself.
Right.
Smack
Right.
yourself.
Right.
Yes.
Because
Right.
we need, like I said, and we're making these kids have issues, and we don't even know it a lot of times.
Right.
We're
Mm-hmm.
not cognizant of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And especially like when we had school in session for real, and you get the phone call that your child has done something, and you come into the school building and you like, okay, well, I don't know where my child has learned XYZ behavior. And you like, okay, like, they learned it in the living room, or they learned
Yes.
it in the car with you,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
when they went to
Like,
visit grandma's house.
like
Like,
you just wish you could say
Yes.
that. Like, you
Yes.
don't know? Look in
right.
the mirror. Hold the mirror up. Here it
Yes.
is.
I
Here
don't
it
know,
is.
Mary. I don't know if you remember the little boy at the school
Oh
when we
goodness.
was doing the therapy in the school, who came to the school talking about he was gonna blow the effing school up. So
Yes.
he needed me to come in there and evaluate him. Mom said the same thing
Right.
a couple of weeks earlier. She was
Right.
gonna blow the effing school up. So
Then wonder why he was surprised. He said, "I can't believe he said it."
Right. I don't know where he got that from.
Yeah.
Miss May, I'm gonna need you to schedule him like as soon as possible. Like,
Hey, make sure it's a double session.
right.
You know?
yes,
Because they in crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
and those are some of the things though that I think they fail to put out there when we're seeing children. You know, because a lot of times they want us to evaluate and diagnose kids off of the quote unquote kid without seeing the family.
Right. Right. And it's the whole entire family that influences what is going on with the child. Like, you can't see one without the other to make an accurate assessment on what the recommendations are for the family, not just the child, the family, because it takes a village in order to implement whatever these strategies are. It's not just the child or the teacher, it's the child, the teacher, the coach, the parents, the aunts, the uncles. Like, everybody need to come to the meeting. We need to be in the whole conference room
and of
or
course you
the whole
get a different
auditorium so we can have everybody present.
of course you get a different diagnosis or a different idea if you know that mom also said she was going to blow the school up than if it's just the kid saying it by himself.
Right.
And then how do you really fix that child, because you're implementing things for him, but he goes back to the same environment. He can't change.
Right.
You can't outdo that because he's.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you can't outdo that if he going right back to the same environment. They can be stimulated the same way again. You know.
I was just gonna add, that's like somebody who goes away to residential and the child is in residential, but the family's not receiving any services or anything. Okay. Like, in residential, the child is not getting anything done. You know what I mean? The family's not getting the treatment that the child is getting. And so it's like you send him back home after he's been or she's been rehabilitated. It's like a no-win situation.
And then they slip back, and they were doing so well
right
at the
back.
program, and they go home and they go right back to that old ways again.
Right.
Like, what happened?
Right.
What happened is his home life. You know? His mom and dad happened. That's what happened.
Right.
Yes, his mom and dad still operated from a place of trauma because they never got treated themselves.
Nope.
Right.
Nope.
Right. Right. Right.
But they sent the kid away because the kid had issues.
Yeah.
And probably it could have been another incentive that was in place too. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. SSI is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The new welfare. Listen.
And that little vacation.
And a vacation.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And a vacation. And which is so crazy.
Dysfunction is real. It's so many layers to this.
So many layers.
So many layers to this. That's why some kids don't have a shot until they get out of that home.
Yeah.
And become adults and actually having to have those real talk conversations to look back at what they didn't have control over when they were a child, but now they're an adult and trying to have sustainable lives and what sustainable lives truly look like. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. I want to hear the song. I'm like, okay, what's the song?
I'm sorry, I keep trying to mute it.
They jamming over there.
Right. I'm like, okay.
Going all the way in. Somebody's broken glass.
Oh God.
Glad it ain't my house.
That must have been his 12th.
Right.
He thought it was his 12th. It was his 23rd.
Oh goodness. So what else shall we cover in these next couple minutes?
Well, we see bagging starts at a young age sometimes.
Right.
You know, so by the time you get to, say 18, you have a whole whole bunch of baggage that you don't really know what that you may have, and you may not know that it's leading you in certain directions. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning. That's what I kind of just learned. Like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
because you done piled all this stuff up, and now it's exhibiting itself, and you may not even know why you're doing certain things.
Hmm.
Right.
Well,
It looks like
somebody
we.
asked the question, not all dysfunctional or bad behavior is learned from home. Sometimes it's learned at school because at home they are so restricted and controlled. Yes
All
or
right,
no?
Jay. So, I mean, think about it. You're at school for how many? Well, you're at school for the majority, so that could be the case. It could be, right? So
Right.
we're not saying that you're not learning bad behaviors at school, but again, if I think your child's going to come home with these bad behaviors, and you would try to correct them, right? So if your child was learning something in school, I doubt that they're not showing it at home, right?
Right.
Hmm.
Because it has to happen in two places to really be a problem anyway, correct?
Right.
Hmm. Correct.
So if my child is coming home showing some behaviors, I still should be trying to correct that behavior. If I'm too busy or I can't do it or I'm working, then it's still a problem at home. Ultimately, at home, you are that child's parent, and you have to try to parent that child. So if they're doing something in school, you should also know about it. The teacher say, "Look, Peaches won't sit down. I don't know why Peaches won't sit down."
Peaches
So,
though.
so, so you need to be correcting Peaches. So if you're not supporting the school and the teachers, then you're also a bad parent. All right, I'm just calling it. You're a bad parent if you're not supporting Peaches at school, because that's how she's gonna learn to sit down when she get a job.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I still blame home.
Mm. Okay. Hey,
That's just
I
me.
like that. I like the idea of supporting the school because oftentimes, from what I've seen from being in the schools, the parent is coming up there like, well, Peaches told me that the teacher said such and such, so she had to get out of her seat. It's like, huh? What?
Absolutely, bad parents. See, it all goes back to bad parenting. And well, we not say bad, maybe lack of knowledge of how to parent.
Yeah,
Right.
let's
Because
say that.
sometimes we just
Let's say
don't
that.
know how to better parent, and we
Right.
want to support our child, so we come up there and make the teacher the villain, right?
Right.
And then what do? Like you said with the phone call, you just model how to treat this teacher. You just
Right.
model not to respect this teacher. Her
Yep.
Right.
authority means nothing. So again,
Right.
Right.
what you did was you took the teacher's power and gave the kid power, because the kid knows my mom gonna be up here. You mess with me. She's on V way.
Yes.
Right.
So
Yes.
again, we have to learn to support the other authorities so that this child knows what's right and wrong and how to respond. So it
Yes.
definitely goes back to lack of knowledge, and we all have to help Peaches and Man out.
Yeah, the other thing too that it teaches Peaches and Man is that if I'm not getting any attention any other place, I
Yes.
know that despite mom and dad working a million hours, if I go to the school and turn up, they gonna come to the school and they gonna turn up. And that
Yep.
means even though it's
Yep.
bad
Yep.
attention, I'm gonna get some attention
Yes.
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's
Yes.
gonna be
Yes.
comical and I'm gonna enjoy it for that moment.
Yep.
Yes. And
Yep.
negative attention sometimes is better than no attention.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know.
Very
So
true.
so
Exactly.
so, so I believe that happens as well. But again,
Right.
that'll be a problem with the at home life where they're not getting something.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Indeed. That sounds like the next conversation. That sounds like a nice, easy segue.
It is,
Mm.
because attention is really important
It
It is.
at all levels.
It
Yes.
is.
At all levels.
Attention, praise,
Yes.
celebration. I'm
Yes.
talking to so many people who have never learned to celebrate themselves. That's
Wow.
a foreign concept. Like,
Wow.
huh?
Yeah.
Celebrate myself. What do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I'm like, when's the last
And
time you
and
rewarded yourself with something?
got you. Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. So
So somebody
celebrating yourself.
disagree with us. They say it's not always bad parenting. All teachers aren't good teachers. True.
That's true.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but how
But
does your
to
go ahead.
Daryl's point, you support the authority and you talk to the teacher on the side and say, look, I know you can't teach. So, what's going on between you and my kid? it may not be my kid so much as you, but
Right.
you don't model that behavior in front of the kid.
Right.
Absolutely.
I agree with Daryl on that.
Because we don't want the who's having a party. I hear music. You ain't invited, Net.
Oh God, Daryl is at a party.
No, so we're not saying. I think we're talking about if your child was acting up at school,
Mm-hmm.
that you should be correcting it at home, right? So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying where I would say maybe you were not the best parent or a little neglectful in your parent, because if that child continued to do something and you're not correcting it or helping out and supporting the teacher or finding a way to do it, then that's still a problem at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that whatever that child is doing in school, he's going to do in other places. So if you're not going to correct it there, he's going to do it other places, which will become
Mm-hmm.
a problem somewhere, whatever it is. If it's because kids have to learn to follow the rules, whatever they may be. So
Mm-hmm.
so for me, I teach my daughter. I don't care what the teacher does. She does something wrong. She says something wrong. She tells you shut up, whatever it is. You listen for that time, and you come home and tell me. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'll go up and talk to the teacher, but you don't talk to the teacher. You
Right.
don't go word for word with the teacher. That's not your job. It's not your job to tell her she did something wrong. If you feel like somebody did something wrong, you let your parents know. So now we can come up there and find out and deal with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to remain respectful independently of whatever goes on. So that's what I'm saying as far as being a good parent, just trying to help out. And because it's more about your kid learning the correct ways to deal with any situation that comes about. That's
Yeah,
because
Mm-hmm.
true.
I don't care about the
Yes,
teacher's only there for 1 year, but your
yes.
kid has to learn the behaviors that's going to last them throughout their life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This
And I
has
think
made me laugh because I was thinking of that with oh God, why am I man no, go ahead, Mary. I can't even get it.
it makes me think about just in general, like, okay, so how Daryl explained it would be an active parent
Oh
who's an advocate, who's involved, and who's like common sense, like who's a parent who is responsible. But then you have the opposite side parent that is like blame shifting and doesn't take responsibility and not really an active parent to really know, what is the right way to really be in partnership with that, but then also that the child goes toe for toe with their parent at home and argues with the adults and doesn't really know their role. So they're going to go back and forth with the teacher and the principal and the dean and any other adult that's trying to correct them, because that's what they do at home. So it's
right.
like they don't know the differentiation between being, I guess, in a child's place in that regard. So it's like children should advocate for themselves. Oh,
Oh God. But
children,
you
children should be able to advocate for themselves, but it's like they should be able to do it in a
respectfully.
respectful way. Right.
Yeah,
Respectfully.
or maybe not even they
Respectfully.
go back and forth with the parent. They just see the parents going back and forth with each other, and they're
Right.
like, "Oh, this is how you deal with somebody
This is
who
how we
does
do it.
something wrong," and you're
Right.
gonna go back and forth with them. That's
Right.
not okay, right?
You
Yes.
got
So that
net
all
dancing now.
Yes.
go Nat. Okay, maybe you can come now. Maybe we can come now. Inbox me,
But what I
inbox me.
was
I'll give the
laughing
directions.
about was thinking about that Kevin Hart in his
Miss
show when he
Green, Miss
talked about
Green.
yes,
My
when his
mama told
mother
me to
gave
tell
him
you.
permission
Yes.
to curse at the teacher, and
See?
he went all in.
Because a kid doesn't
I told
understand the
you to say
boundaries.
2 curse
Westward,
words.
yeah. He said all of them.
Oh, that's April now.
Oh God. But yeah, I mean, I agree, Mary, that you teach your children to advocate for themselves so that they aren't taken advantage of, but
Mm-hmm.
you also teach them how to do it respectfully with authority, and you also teach them conflict resolution skills.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you're not teaching them that, I mean, and that doesn't mean when it comes up, you talk about it. You should be teaching your kids how to deal with different situations to begin with.
Yes.
If you're
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
not doing that, you're a neglectful parent. And I know a lot of
Right.
people get offended when they hear things like that, because everybody's the best parent in the world, but you're not, right? We
Right.
all can learn, and we have to start teaching our kids. Oh, he's too young. They're not too young. If they're
Right.
in school, if they're in pre-K, you have to teach them how to deal with people so they'll know, so they
Right.
won't start picking up these bad habits and talking to teachers any type of way.
Right.
You have to constantly, we have to teach our children. We just do.
Right.
And I think that's a good parent is one that's going to be proactive and start teaching our kids young, not waiting for things to happen. The first time you hear that your kid cuss somebody out, it shouldn't be from school. Like you
Right.
should already know your kid cusses.
Right.
You knew he cussed. You
You know
man
You knew he cussed because you was laughing at the curse word.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
You
And
put
you
it on
cuss all
video,
the time.
put it on social media at
Yeah.
the cookout.
Yeah, and I see the videos have you cussing around him. So he's going to cuss, right? You should expect
Red
that.
Cup Chronicles.
You understand? So we have to understand that what we're doing, look at yourself. What you're doing, your child is going to do most likely, right? If you spicy attitude, then they're going to have a spicy attitude too.
Right.
So, but understand that, and that's what we got to understand that. Like I said, they're soaking up who we are.
Right.
We're their
And
model.
you have to be careful.
Yes.
You have to be careful. And
Yes.
if your kid is aggressive and push somebody or hit somebody and you smack them, what are you teaching them?
Right.
There you go.
You teaching them to smack somebody.
Absolutely. Well, my daughter is allowed to smack people. Okay. If you put your hands on her, you can. I had to go to school not too long ago because she punched a little boy and knocked him down. I said, good. He shouldn't have put his hands on you. Okay. And I told the teacher, excuse me, if they were over there arguing for this amount of time and no one was there,
Right.
it should have been broken up. But when he touched her, she's allowed to defend herself. Since you weren't protecting her, she protected herself. He touched her first. I said, I have no problem with that. And she's allowed to do that. You understand that? I let school know she's allowed to do that because you're not protecting her, right? But I also told my daughter when she shouldn't. I guess the little boy was killing ants at an anthill, and she wanted to save the ants. And I said, listen, those ants aren't your problem. So you shouldn't have went over there. Okay, you shouldn't have been over there messing with him and the ants. When you trying to save the ants, he would started all this. So you should mind your business.
Right.
I let her know what she did was wrong because she shouldn't have been there, and you shouldn't have been telling somebody else what to do. Tell the teacher, not your job. But once he touched you, then you have to respond in kind.
Right.
So we had this conversation, and then I talked to the teacher afterwards as well to let her know that, because she was like, don't do something. No, she's going to do that every time. If you're not going to do it, she's going to protect herself.
Yeah, she gave time. She gave time to it.
Yeah.
I got that.
You got that.
Okay.
Who is this with this teacher? What kind of teacher do you know? The one bad teacher you know, that's an outlier. That's not most teachers, okay? So we're gonna stop talking about this one teacher, all right? There's one teacher that's like, we can play devil's advocate. I understand there are some bad teachers, but again, how your child responds is still your responsibility, even if it's a bad teacher. Right? How your child responds to that bad teacher is on you. Like I said, I told my daughter, if the teacher says something or does something, you do not respond to that. You do not cuss her out. You tell me. If my daughter's there arguing with a teacher, that's my problem. That's my fault.
Right.
Because you shouldn't be arguing with an adult because you're a child.
Right.
That's not what you're supposed to do. So yes, that teacher is taunting her. She should come tell me and let me deal with it. Still a bad parent. Okay? Still a bad parent. Well,
a parent that needs support.
Yes.
A parent that needs support.
Tired of hearing about this one teacher that somebody had a problem with when they was in 5th grade. Okay?
You feeling trauma? You need a session, Daryl?
No, that's not me. Somebody got baggage with this teacher that they trying to unpack. Okay? Unpack it.
They need to unpack that bag.
Unpack it. That teacher's old. It was done. That teacher don't teach no more. Jeez. Hey, they trying to make us believe that it's the teacher's fault. Okay. No, okay. It's the teacher's fault. It's the teacher's fault. You're right. I agree. It's the teacher. That teacher. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Sometimes you gotta say you're right. You're right. The teacher, yeah. We weren't talking about you and your parenting skills, whoever it was. We weren't talking about you and your parenting skills. I promise. I don't even know you. We're just talking in general.
Oh God.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Jeez, somebody hit a nerve, didn't they?
Somebody hit a nerve.
But the teacher did
And
it. What about the teacher?
they coming in on the after party to talk to you. Oh man. So any closing remarks that we have so that you can enjoy your man party with no mask?
Oh man, I just say that. I'm just gonna say, listen, it wasn't the teacher's fault. That's my closing argument.
And these unchecked baggage and the stages of letting go.
Yeah, let go of the teacher. Act like this is Frozen. Let it
Act like it's
go. Let it go.
Oh my gosh. Yes, Del Rico. You missed a good one. You missed a good one.
Yes, you did, Del Rico. Oh man.
And you missed the party too, Del Rico. Daryl is over at a man party.
Yes.
I told him how you said the men should have their own show, but it wouldn't be called. Daryl said it shouldn't be called Sip and Chat.
Yeah,
I'm not
coming on no sip and chat from men. Sorry. Can't make it to that one. You're gonna miss it.
Y'all need a new name. He said y'all need a new name.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
This man's part is kind of cool, but it's all men. So I'm about to leave. So they're out there in the fire. It's kind of cool. It's more men here too.
With no mask?
I said more COVID bringers. Yeah. Yeah. We're up to like 25, 30.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 25 COVID bringers out here.
Oh goodness.
With those
I'm calling the governor.
Listen, actually, I think we're against the limit here. I think we're over the limit of people we're supposed to have.
It sounds like it.
They can shut this down at any time. I mean, at least it's outside, but yeah, we'll all be inside later because this is 30 reasons. I got 30 people that can possibly give me COVID. Okay, this is interesting.
Ned said she bet the teacher is at that man party.
Hey, anybody, teacher? Anybody was taunting kids? Who was taunting kids? Nobody? Nah, not them. They weren't taunting kids.
They don't know because they don't even know what shot they on right now.
They don't. They don't.
All right. Well, until next Friday, party people.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us for the Friday Sip and Chat, the stages of letting go of the unchecked baggage and the childhood trauma. Until next Friday, we'll find out what our topic is. Yes.
Hashtag all teachers matter.
That's the new hashtag now.
Hashtag all teachers matter.
Oh God. All right. Catch y'all in the studio.
All right, y'all.
Have a good one, everybody. Good night.
Good night.